And we're back? Maybe. Before we get too far, I'm going to have to make sure that Facebook is showing you what I'm doing, because it's still not showing me what I'm doing. So bear with me one moment. If you're here already, welcome, welcome, welcome for take 3 of the Cujo Book Club. Give me just a moment here. I'm going to see if you can see me. I think it's a possibility. Oh, look at that. It's a go. All right. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the Twisted Enrichment Book Club. Twisted because I'm a fan of mostly horror fiction, some crime, but I'm always willing to open my horizons somewhat. But if I'm bored with it, I can't read it. So I don't know about you. So we're starting with Cujo. It's a book that I've owned forever and I've read it. And of course, probably everybody has seen the movie. Maybe you have, maybe you haven't. Let me know. So I kind of just had thought that this could go with, as a book club goes, it might be very untraditional, but I think the way it's going to go is just going to read. I feel like my mind needs some enrichment. So, and I know that filling your brain with words helps expand your vocabulary, your thought processes, your mind. And then I thought, well, okay, yeah, just read a book. Well, also, I need some social interaction. Maybe we all do these days. But I still prefer to be at home. So if you join me here and we chat during the book reading, it's almost like socializing, right? I mean, we can be comfortable. We can use our own bathrooms. We can go get a snack if we want to, anytime. And we can enjoy a good story. If you want, you can get your book out and you can read along. But you don't have to. You can just sit back and relax and enjoy the story. And hopefully the conversation that builds with a community of people who enjoy listening and reading stories. Horror. So the king of horror is what we're starting with. I have a lot of Stephen King books, and so, I mean, easy access, so that was my first choice. So far, doesn't look like I have any viewers. Maybe what I should do is share the stream. What do you think? Maybe I should share with a few people. If you're seeing me and I can't see you yet, it would be helpful if you shared the stream. See what's going on. Give me just another moment, please. Pretty sure it's just me here. If I'm not seeing you, but you're here, welcome. I'm not ignoring you. I'm trying to figure this out, but I'm new here. I'm just going to keep going. I'm going to read because my brain needs a break from scrolling Facebook, TikTok, and I want to just want to read. So, welcome. Sit back, relax, grab your favorite cocktail, your favorite sports drink, your favorite comfort item, and sit back in your beanbag, your daybed, wherever you might be, kicking back in your car between orders, who knows? I've got my Irish coffee, which might be a bad idea because it's creamy, so it might make my voice a little garbly, but we'll see. All right. Ready? I'm just going to read. Please say hi if you're here. I'll try to acknowledge you if I see you. Maybe Facebook would tell me something about who's around. Let's see. Don't see anything yet. Facebook. Facebook still isn't even showing me that I'm online or on live. Okay. Time to read a book. Cujo by Stephen King. There's some things in the foreword of this book that I'm just going to go ahead and pass by. You can read those on your own if you choose. I get a special request. I guess I'll go ahead and read them out loud, but so far it's just me, so I'm going to do what I want. Set the mood a little bit. Or Cujo by Stephen King. Once upon a time, not so long ago, a monster came to the small town of Castle Rock, Maine. He killed a waitress named Alma Pritchett in 1970, a woman named Pauline Toothaker, and a junior high school student named Cheryl Moody in 1971. A pretty girl named Carol Dunbarger in 1974, a teacher named Etta Ringgold in the fall of 1975, finally, a grade schooler named Mary Kate Henderson in the early winter of that same year. He was not a werewolf, vampire, ghoul, or unnameable creature from the enchanted forest, or from the snowy wastes or from the snowy wastes. He was only a cop named Frank Dodd with mental and sexual problems. A good man named John Smith uncovered his name by a kind of magic, but before he could be captured, perhaps it was just as well, Frank Dodd killed himself. Can you hear me all right? Let me know. Of course, there's something in my mouth. There was some shock, of course, but mostly there was rejoicing in that small town. Rejoicing because the monster which had haunted so many dreams was dead at last. A town's nightmares were buried in Frank Dodd's grave. Yet even in this enlightened age, when so many parents are aware of the psychological damage they may do to their children, surely there was one parent somewhere in Castle Rock, or perhaps one grandmother, who quieted the kids by telling them that Frank Dodd would get them if they didn't watch out, if they weren't good. And surely a hush fell as children looked toward their dark windows and thought of Frank Dodd and his shiny black vinyl raincoat. Frank Dodd, who had choked and choked and choked. He's out there. I can hear the grandmother whispering as the winds whistle down the chimney pipe and snuffles around the old pot lid crammed in the stove hole. He's out there, and if you're good, it may be his face. Oh, wait, he's out there, and if you're not good, it may be his face you're seeing in your bedroom window after everyone in the house is asleep except you. It may be him, it may be his smiling face you see peeking at you from your closet in the middle of the night. Stop sign he held up when he crossed the little children in one hand, the razor he used to kill himself in the other. So shh, children, shh. But for most, the ending was the ending. There were nightmares, to be sure, and children who lay wakeful to be sure, and the empty Dodd house, where his mother had a stroke shortly afterwards and died. So the Dodd house quickly gained a reputation as a haunted house and was avoided, but these were passing phenomena and perhaps unavoidable side effects of a chain of senseless murders. But time passed, 5 years of time. The monster was gone. The monster was dead. Frank Dodd moldered inside his coffin. Except that the monster never dies. Werewolf, vampire, ghoul, unnameable creatures from the wastes. The monster never dies. It came to Castle Rock again in the summer of 1980. That was the intro. Please excuse me, my mouth got dry. I want to make sure that Facebook is not having a problem with what we're doing here. Looks like we're doing okay. Pardon me. Is there anybody out? I'll just entertain myself. I'm pretty good at that too. So those of you who might be watching that are familiar with Stephen King's stories might have recognized some of that intro from other stories that you may have read. They all seem to mesh and mingle in New England somewhere, imaginary places like Derry and Castle Rock. Sound familiar to anybody? Pardon me. On with the show. Tad Trenton, 4 years old, awoke one morning not long after midnight in May of that year, which was 1980, talking about. So he woke up in May of that year needing to go to the bathroom. He woke up at midnight. He got out of bed and walked half asleep toward the white light thrown in a wedge through the half-open door, already lowering his pajama pants. The kid had to go. He urinated forever and flushed and went back to bed. He pulled the covers up, and that was when he saw the creature in his closet. Low to the ground it was, with huge shoulders bulking above its cocked head, its eyes amber, glowing pits, a thing that might have been half man, half wolf, and its eyes rolled to follow him as he sat up, his scrotum crawling, his hair standing on end, his breath a thin winter whistle in his throat, mad eyes laughing, eyes that promised horrible death, and the music of screams that went unheard, something closet. He heard its purring growl. He smelled its sweet carrion breath. Tad Trenton clapped his hands to his eyes, hitched in his breath, and screamed. A muttered exclamation in another room. His father. A scared cry of, "What was that?" from the same room. His mother. Their footfalls running as they came in, he peered through his fingers and saw it there in the closet, snarling, promising dreadfully that they might come. Promising dreadfully that they might come, they would surely go, and that when they did. The light went on. Vic and Donna Trenton came to his bed, exchanging a look of concern over his chalky face and his staring eyes, and his mother said, "No." Oh, his mother said, "No." She snapped. "I told you. 3 hot dogs was too much, Vic." Oh. And then his daddy was on the bed, daddy's arms around his back, asking him what was wrong. Tad dared to look into the mouth of his closet again. The monster was gone. Instead of whatever hungry beast he had seen, there was 2 uneven piles of blankets, winter bedclothes, which Donna had not yet gotten around to taking up to the cut-off 3rd floor. These were stacked on a chair, which Tad had used to stand on when he needed something from the high closet shelf. Instead of the shaggy triangular head cocked sideways in a kind of predatory questioning gesture, he saw his teddy bear on the taller of the 2 piles of blankets. Instead of a pitted and baleful amber eyes, there were the friendly brown glass balls from which his teddy observed the world. "What's wrong, Tatter?" his daddy asked him again. "There was a monster," Tad cried, "in my closet," and he burst into tears. His mommy sat with him. They held him between them, soothed him as best they could. There followed the ritual of parents. They explained there were no monsters, that he had just had a bad dream. His mommy explained how shadows could sometimes look like the bad things they sometimes showed on TV or in the comic books, and Daddy told him everything was all right, fine, that nothing in their good house could hurt him. Tad nodded and agreed that it was so. Oh, Tad nodded and agreed that it was so, although he knew it was not. His father explained to him how in the dark, the 2 uneven piles of blankets had looked like hunched shoulders, how the teddy bear had looked like a cocked head, and how the bathroom light, reflecting from Teddy's glass eyes, had made them seem like the eyes of a real live animal. "Now look," he said. "Watch me close, Tatter." Tad watched. His father took the 2 piles of blankets and put them far back in Tad's closet. Tad could hear the coat hangers jingling, softly, talking about Daddy in their coat hanger language. That was funny, and he smiled a little. Mommy caught him smile and smiled back, relieved. His daddy came out of the closet, took Teddy and put him in Tad's arms. "And last but not least," Daddy said, with a flourish and a bow that made both Tad and Mommy giggle, "le chair." don't know. I think that's what that said. The ink's kind of thick there. Oh, it's the chair. The chair. With a flourish. Okay. Sorry, the ink is weird, and I think these lights are reflecting weird, and it is old-fashioned paper. Just, maybe I'm getting old. Maybe my eyes are getting bad. Okay. But we'll get into a groove, right? We'll get into a groove. While I stopped for just a moment, let me see if Facebook is agreeing with us or not. I think it looks like we're doing okay. Looks like the stream's doing okay. Oh, I didn't share the stream. Should do that. Facebook is telling me to. I should probably do that. Let's see. I really don't want to share. I'm kind of into the story now. But I'm the only one here, aren't I? Guess I might as well share if I'm the only one here. Just give me a moment. Stand by. Who can we share with? Share with. I don't want to annoy people. Who wouldn't it annoy if I shared my silly self with? Let's see here. Share it. There. That's a start. One place, one share. And I'm sorry if you've found my share annoying. Just let me know and I won't do it again there. All right. Let me get a little drink and we'll get back to the story. So far we're in 1980. We're with Tad and his mom and dad. And Dad is explaining to Tad that there's no monsters in his closet. And I think that's pretty much it for now. We haven't gotten too far, so if you're just joining, welcome. Please sit back and enjoy the story. Get comfortable, grab a drink, grab a snack, order a pizza. Sit back and relax for a while. Where were we? Okay. If you are here watching, it would be nice if you let me know. And if you're interested, or if you wind up actually liking the story or liking what we're doing here, give me a thumbs up, give me a like, and share to people who you think might like hearing a story. All right, back to it. I think I found my place. His daddy came out of the closet, took Teddy and put him in Tad's arms. And last but not least, Daddy said with a flourish and a bow that made Tad and Mommy giggle, "The chair." He closed the closet door firmly and then put the chair against the door. When he came back to Tad's bed, he was still smiling, but his eyes were serious. "Okay, Tad?" "Yes," Tad said, and then forced himself to say it. "But it was there, Daddy. I saw it, really." "Your mind saw something, Tad," Daddy said, and his big warm hand stroked Tad's hair. "But you didn't see a monster in your closet, not a real one. There are no monsters, Tad, only in stories and in your mind." He looked from his father to his mother and back again, their big, well-loved faces. "Really?" "Really," his mommy said. "Now, I want you to get up and go pee, big boy. I'm sorry, big guy." "My apologies, Mr. King." "I did. That's what woke me up." "Well," she said, because parents never believe you. "Humor me then. What do you say?" So he went in, and she watched while he did 4 drops, and she smiled and said, "See, you did have to go." Resigned, Tad nodded, went back to bed, was tucked in, accepted kisses, and as his mother and father went back to the door, the fear settled on him again, like a cold coat full of mist, like a shroud stinking of hopeless death. "Oh, please," he thought, but there was no more, just that. "Oh, please, oh, please, oh, please." Perhaps his father caught his thought because Vic turned back, one hand on the light switch, and repeated, "No monsters, Tad." "No, Daddy," Tad said, because in that instant his father's eyes seemed shadowed and far, as if he needed to be convinced. "No monsters, except for the one in my closet." The light snapped off. "Good night, Tad." His mother's voice trailed back to him lightly, softly, and in his mind he cried out, "Be careful, Mommy. They eat the ladies. In all the movies, they catch the ladies and carry them off and eat them." Oh, please, oh, please, oh, please. But they were gone. So Tad Trenton, 4 years old, lay in his bed, all wires and stiff erector set braces. He lay with the covers piling up to his chin. He lay with the covers pulled up to his chin and one arm crushing Teddy against his chest. And there was Luke Skywalker on one wall. There was a chipmunk standing on a blender on the other wall, grinning cheerily. "If life hands you lemons, make lemonade," the cheeky, grinning chipmunk was saying. There was the whole motley Sesame Street crew on a third. Big Bird Ernie, Oscar Grover. Good totems, good magic. But oh, the wind outside, screaming over the roof and skating down back guttural. And skating down back guttural, he would sleep no more this night. But little by little, the wires unsnarled themselves and stiff erector set muscles relaxed. His mind begins to drift. And then a new screaming, this one closer than the night wind outside, brought him back to staring wakefulness again. The hinges on the closet door. That thin sound, so high that perhaps only dogs and small boys awake in the night could have heard it. His closet door swung open slowly and steadily a dead mouth opening on darkness inch by inch and foot by foot. The monster was in that darkness. It crouched where it had crouched before. It grinned at him, and its huge shoulders bulked above its cocked head, and its eyes glowed amber, alive with stupid cunning. "I told you they'd go away, Tad," whispered. "They always do in the end. And then I can come back. I like to come back. I like you, Tad. I'll come back every night now, I think. And every night I'll come a little closer to your bed. A little closer until one night, before you can scream for them, you'll hear something growling right beside you, Tad. It'll be me. And I'll pounce. And then I'll eat you, and you'll be in me." Tad stared at the creature in his closet with drugged, horrified fascination. There was something that was almost familiar. Something he almost knew, and that was the worst. That almost knowing because I'm crazy. Tad, I'm here. I've been here all along. My name was Frank Dodd once, and I killed the ladies, and maybe I ate them too. I've been here all along. I stick around. I keep my ear to the ground. I'm the monster, Tad, the old monster, and I'll have you soon, Tad. Feel me getting closer and closer. Perhaps the thing in the closet spoke to him in its own hissing breath, or perhaps its voice was the wind's voice. Either way, neither way, it didn't matter. He listened to its words, drugged with terror, fear fainting, but oh so wide awake. He looked upon its shadowed, snarling face, which he almost knew. He would sleep no more tonight. Perhaps he would never sleep again. But sometime later, sometime between the striking of half past midnight and the hour of 1, perhaps because he was small, Tad drifted away again. Thin sleep in which hulking, furried creatures with white teeth chased him deeper. Pardon me. That was a rewind. Thin sleep in which hulking, furred creatures with white teeth chased him, deepened into dreamless slumber. The wind held long conversations with the gutters. A rind of white spring moon rose in the sky. Somewhere far away in some still meadow of night or along some pine-edged corridor of forest, a dog barked furiously and then fell silent. And in Tad Trenton's closet, something with amber eyes held watch. I'm going to take a break for a moment. Wet my whistle. See if anybody's here that might want to talk about what they've heard so far. None of my fancy gizmos here are telling me that anybody is here. Which is fine. I kind of expect that. I'm a new girl here. I'm not a popular kid. But I'd like to make some friends. Maybe, make a community of people that can hang out together and enjoy some fiction horror. Maybe other things. Who knows what we could grow here. I have a lot of Stephen King books. I have Clive Barker. I've got as far as crime goes, I like have some Patricia Cornwell, I believe. I don't know. I never unpacked my books when I moved like 11 years ago. They're still in a box someplace. I went to look for Cujo, and it wasn't where I had books since I've lived here, the books that I accumulated. So I went to hunt down my box of books, and I discovered I have like 3 or 4 Stephen King books that I bought again because I never unpacked them and probably forgot that I read them. And that's where I found Cujo. So we're probably going to be rereading some books just to refresh our memories. And I'll take suggestions. And my mind's open. I'm open to new ideas of what to read, but if I get bored, I really don't enjoy the read. But if you have suggestions, please let me know. Well, I hate to do this again. I just want to see Facebook. I'm going to check my phone, see if Facebook is showing you guys what we're doing here. Just want to make sure I'm not reading into the ether where nobody is receiving a signal. Hello, Facebook. Is there anybody there? I don't think so. But that's okay, though. 'Cause I'm gonna sing so. I entertain myself, yo. Still says we're live. That's good. Doesn't look like it's too far behind me in real time. That's good. But still, nobody's here. That's okay, too. Might take you a minute to warm up to this idea. But I think... I mean, why couldn't it be just like a book club where people actually meet together? It could be, because we have conversation, we can have drinks. Anybody has any suggestions? Maybe we'll throw them in sometime. We're just seeing what sticks, seeing what works. All right. Back to the story. I should take another drink, though. Did you put the blankets back? Donna asked her husband the next morning. She was standing at the stove cooking bacon. Tad was in the other room watching the new zoo review and eating a bowl of Twinkles. Twinkles was a Sharp cereal, and the Trentons got all their Sharp cereals free. Vic asked. He was buried deep in the sports pages. A transplanted New Yorker, he had so far successfully resisted the Red Sox fever. But he was masochistically pleased to see that the Mets were off to another superlatively cruddy start. The blankets in Tad's closet, they were back in there. Sorry, that's Mom speaking again. The blankets in Tad's closet, they were back in there. The chair was back in there, too, and the door was open again. She brought the bacon, draining on a paper towel and still sizzling, to the table. Did you put them back on his chair? Not me, Vic said, turning a page. It smelled like a mothball convention back there. That's funny. He must have put them back. He put the paper aside and looked up at her. What are you talking about, Donna? You remember the bad dream last night? Not apt to forget. I thought the kid was dying, having a convulsion or something. She nodded. He thought the blankets were some kind of... She shrugged. Boogeyman? Vic said, grinning. I guess so. And you gave him his teddy bear and put those blankets on the back of the closet, but they were back on the chair when I went in to make his bed. She laughed. I looked in, and just for a second there, I thought... Now I know where he gets it, Vic said, picking up the newspaper again. He cocked a friendly eye at her. 3 hot dogs, my ass. Later, after Vic had shot off to work, Donna asked Tad why he had put the chair back in the closet with the blankets on it if they had scared him in the night. Tad looked up at her, and his normally animated, lively face, pale and watchful, too old. His Star Wars coloring book was open in front of him. He had been doing a picture from the interstellar cantina, using his green Crayola to color Greedo. I didn't, he said. But Tad, if you didn't, and Daddy didn't, and I didn't, the monster did it, Tad said. The monster in my closet. He bent to his picture again. She stood looking at him, troubled, a little frightened. He was a bright boy and perhaps too imaginative. This was not such good news. She would have to talk to Vic about it tonight. She would have to have a long talk with him about it. Tad, remember what your father said, she told him now. There aren't any such thing as monsters. Not in the daytime, anyway, he said, and smiled at her. Oh, and smiled at her so openly, so beautifully, that she was charmed out of her fears. She ruffled his hair and kissed his cheek. She meant to talk to Vic, and then Steve Kemp came while Tad was at nursery school, and she forgot. And Tad screamed that night, too. Screamed that it was in his closet. The monster. The monster. Closet door hung ajar, blankets on the chair. This time, Vic took them up to the 3rd floor and stacked them in the closet up there. Locked it up, Tadder, Vic said, kissing his son. You're all set now. Go back to sleep and have a good dream. But Tad did not sleep for a long time, and before he did, the closet door swung clear of its latch, and a sly little snicking sound. The dead mouth opened on the dead dark where something furry and sharp-toothed and clawed waited, something that smelled of sour blood and dark doom. Hello, Tad, it whispered in its rotting voice, and the moon peered in Tad's window like the white and stilled eye of a dead man. The oldest living person in Castle Rock that late spring was Evelyn Chalmers, known as Auntie Evie by the town's older residents, known as that old loudmouth bitch by George Marrera, who had to deliver her mail, which mostly consisted of catalogs and the Crusade of the Eternal Christ, and listened to her endless monologues. The only thing that old loudmouth bitch is any good at telling is the weather. George had been known to allow when his cup and his... Okay, George... I don't know why I'm having so much problem with this one sentence. Excuse me. Okay, let's just go back. Okay, we'll start a little. The only thing that old loudmouth bitch is any good at is telling the weather. George had been known to allow when his cups and in the company of his cronies down by the Mellow Tiger. It was one stupid name for a bar, but since it was the only one Castle Rock could boast, it looked like they were pretty much stuck with it. There was general agreement with George's opinion, as the oldest resident of Castle Rock, Auntie Evie, had held the Boston Post cane for the last 2 years, ever since Arnold Herbert, who had been 101 and so far gone in senility that talking to him held all the intellectual challenge of talking to an empty cat food can, had doddered off the back patio at the Castle Acres nursing home and broken his neck exactly 25 minutes after whizzing in his pants for the last time. Auntie Evie was nowhere near as senile as Arnie Hebert had been, and nowhere near as old. But at 93, she was old enough, and as she was fond of brawling at the resigned and often hung over George Mercer when he delivered the mail, she hadn't been stupid enough to lose her home the way Herbert had done. But she was good at the weather. The town consensus among the older people who cared about such things was that Auntie Evie was never wrong about 3 things. The week when the first hay cutting would happen in the summer, and how good or how bad the blueberries would be, and what the weather would be like. One day, early that June, she shuffled out to the mailbox at the end of the driveway, leaning heavy on her Boston Post cane, which would go to Vin Marchant when the loudmouth old bitch popped off, George Maris thought. And good riddance to you, Evie. It could be Evie. Evie. Evelyn, so Evie. And smoking a Herbert Terryton. So she's a big smoker too. Okay. She bellowed a greeting at Marrera. Her deafness had apparently convinced her that everyone else in the world had gone deaf in sympathy, and then shouted that they were going to have the hottest summer in 30 years. Hot early and hot late, Evie bellowed. Laughter lunged into the drowsy 11 o'clock quiet, and hot in the middle. And hot in the middle, is what she said. That so? George asked. What? I said, is that so? That was the other thing about Auntie Evie. She got you shouting right along with her. A man could pop a blood vessel. I should hope to smile and kiss a pig if it ain't, Aunt Evie screamed. The ash of her cigarette fell on the shoulder of George Mayor's uniform blouse, freshly dry cleaned and just put on clean this morning. He brushed it off resignedly. Auntie Evie leaned in the window of his car, all the better to bellow in his ear. Her breath smelled like sour cucumbers. Field mice has all gone out of the root cellars. Tommy Nato seen deer out by the Moonstick Pond, rubbing velvet off their antlers, and their first robin showed up. Grass under the snow when she melted. Green grass, Mira. That's so, Evie? George replied, since some reply seemed necessary. He was getting a headache. What? That's so, Aunt Evie? George Mayer screamed. Saliva flew from his lips. Oh, yeah, Aunt Evie howled back contentedly. And I seen the lightning last night. Bad sign, Mara. Yeah. Early heat's a bad sign. Be people die of heat this summer. It's gonna be a bad one. You know, I just realized I'm probably doing her accent incorrectly because this takes place in Maine. So I should be doing kind of like a northerners. I don't know. Again, I'm sorry, Mr. King. All right. I gotta go, Aunt Evie, George yelled. Got a special delivery for Stringer Below. Stringer Below. Aunt Evie Chambers threw her head back and cackled at the spring sky. She cackled until she was fit to choke, and more cigarette ashes rolled down the front of her house dress. She spat the last quarter-inch of cigarette out of her mouth, and it lay smoldering in the driveway by one of her old lady shoes. The shoe as black as a stove and as tight as a corset. A shoe for the ages. You got a special delivery for Frenchie Below? Bolo. Bolo. Bo. L-L-E-U. Baloo. Bolu. Why? He couldn't read the name on his own tombstone. I gotta go, Auntie Evie, George said hastily, and threw his car in gear. He was done with that conversation. Frenchie Below is a stark, natural-born fool if God ever made one. Oh, that's what Auntie Evie hollered. I was out of that character, I'm sorry. So, Frenchie Below is a stark-natured born fool if God ever made one, Auntie Evie hollered. But by then, she was hollering into George Mara's dust. He had made good his escape. She stood there by her mailbox for a minute, watching him go. There was no personal mail for her. These days there rarely was. Most of the people she knew who had been able to write were now dead. She would follow soon enough, and she suspected. The oncoming summer gave her a bad feeling, a scary feeling. She could speak of the mice leaving the root cellars early, of the heat lightning in the spring sky, but she could not speak of the heat she sensed somewhere just over the horizon, crouched like a scrawny yet powerful beast with mangy fur and red smoldering eyes. She could not speak of her dreams, which were hot and shadowless and thirsty. She could not speak of the morning when tears had come for no reason, tears that did not relieve but stung the eyes like August mad sweat instead. She smelled lunacy in a wind that had not arrived. George Mara, you're an old fart, Auntie Evie said, giving the world a juicy Maine resonance. A juicy Maine resonance. I can't. Okay, I'll work on my accent, Mr. King. I promise. I mean, I can do it, but I always figure I sound like I try to do the northeastern accent. I always feel like I sound like Herman Munster in Pet Sematary. Oh. I'm not even gonna do it. I'm not. Oh shit, where was I? Okay. Okay. George Mara, you're an old fart, Auntie Evie said, giving the word a juicy Maine resonance, which built it into something that was both cataclysmic and ludicrous. Fart. Or, I can do the Peter. That has a little bit of that accent, I think. But I'm not going to do anymore. I gotta find my place again. Told you I can entertain myself. Is there anybody here? If you're here, say hi so I know you're here, so I can welcome you. While I've taken another pause, I'm gonna go ahead and refresh myself a little bit. Been live for almost an hour. Haven't gotten that far along in the book because I've had to been checking on Facebook from time to time and keep peeking to hope and see that somebody might be here wanting to talk. None of my computers are telling me that anybody's around or that I got any likes. It is telling me that there's been a share, and that was me that did that. 1 share, 0 viewers. 0 viewers and nobody to talk to. I guess everybody's very busy on this. What are we on, Sunday? No. Shit, what day is it? Yes, Sunday. I was right. Shut up. You know I was right. Better quit laughing. Nervous. Being the new girl makes me forget things. I'm sorry. What were we doing? Oh yeah, we were reading. Let's read some more. Oh yeah, we were at fought. She began working her way back to the house, leaning on her Boston Post cane, which had been given her at a town hall ceremony. Oh. Did I already read that? Sorry, I just got distracted. There's a gnat or something here, and it landed on me. I think I've read that. No, I didn't read that. Okay, she began working her way back to the house. This is Aunt Evie. She began working her way back to the house, leaning on her Boston Post cane, which had been given her at the town hall ceremony for no more than the stupid accomplishment of growing old successfully. No wonder, she thought, the goddamn paper had gone broke. Excuse me. She paused on her stoop, looking at the sky, which was still spring pure. Is that gnat again? Get off of me. She paused on her stoop, looking at the sky, which was still spring pure and pastel soft. Oh, but she sensed it coming. Something hot. Something foul. Like this gnat. Sorry, I think I just rubbed my mic right into my hair. That probably wasn't a pleasant sound. It wasn't Cheetos or anything, it was just my hair. All right. Do I want to keep going? That's a good stopping point because there was a break. Let me see the break here. I mean, that's a good stopping point. I don't know when the next break would be, and it's like I've been live like right at an hour. Is that enough words for my brain today? Might be. Might be. Should I do this again? I want to do it again. Yeah, I'm gonna do it again. Yeah. 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 But right now, my Irish coffee is sounding really good, and I tried not to drink it when you were watching because my voice probably would have gotten all... because I have allergy problems and it would cause more phlegm. So I abstained. I think I took one sip and I regretted it. Okay. So that was it for the first successful edition of Twisted Enrichment Book Club, Cujo. If you're interested, I will be back. We will continue where I left off. If you, in the meantime, want to grab your copy, be prepared for next time. I'll go live again tomorrow. Maybe you might be here. I hope you'll be here. It'd be awesome if you come. Come on. Look for my live tomorrow and join me for a book club. All right. Okay. Bye.